Okay, so this is comic reviews, and I'm definitely glad that I decided to do what I did. I mean, you'll see what I mean, but basically I was just finishing the books earlier. I was gonna save more books for today, and I'm glad I did not decide to do that. Because the reason for why that is, and you'll see what I mean when I show the books that I'm gonna get at the library when I go today or tonight. Without further ado, let's get into it. First up is probably a big waste of me getting this, because I only watched one out of the two. Oh, sorry, one out of the two. One out of the four movies here. I've seen half of them, but this time around I only watched one out of the four, and that was Creepshow. I haven't seen Dolores Claiborne, and Creepshow I thought was a wonderful, just like the comic series. It was which I did review, and I'm gonna review it again here. Which I thought was a wonderful homage to classic horror movies. Like the comic was a great homage to classic horror comics. This was a great homage to classic horror movies. Now, as far as like classics go, yeah, I haven't seen a whole bunch of them, but I know the feel of them because I've watched video, and it sounds gonna sound stupid, but I've watched videos of people going over horror movies and the way that they explain what goes into those movies. So I definitely got that feel. I would really have to think of like classic horror movies I've seen. It had that feel, like a classic. Like if anything, it was basically like Simpsons Treehouse of Horror before Simpsons Treehouse of Horror, but with a harder edge to it. And Dolores Claiborne is just a wonderful movie. Like it's as good as it is depressing, which is very. Zatanna I thought was very boring. I reviewed it quickly. Jesus Christ! I reviewed it before, so I'm gonna review it quickly here. Oh, got a text. Awesome, what did he say? Yeah! Awesome. So I'm going very soon. Because when the books came in, and I was like, it's a little bit late, but still, let's see if I can go to the library before. I guess it's too late. Because I was going to have my mom take me, but that usually, like, who's going to make dinner? Who's going to... It was one of those things where I was like, on second thought... So let's ask someone else. Now, this is Gwenpool Volume 4. And originally, I said, oh, this is the last one. Because that's all they had at the library. They had the first 4. And it was like, oh, okay. There's a 5th one. It has 4 issues in it. I put it in way too late. I'm probably just going to end up reading them digitally. Because this is a fantastic comic. It just gets better and better as it goes along. Absolutely recommend this comic. Highly recommend this comic. Captain Marvel. If Kelly Sue DeConnick was one of the best runs of Captain Marvel and solidified the character and actually made me care about the character, this one bores me to tears. Oh, and also I found out too late that not too late. I found out that it was not the one after Kelly Sue DeConnick's run. So I'm gonna treat this. I'm gonna treat the run that comes before as a prequel. Like like the Star Wars that came out after prequels came out to the sequel. Prequel came out to the original trilogy. That's how I'm gonna treat Captain Marvel by the other person. It's a weird name. It's like Arcade. I don't recognize it. Iron Man by Matt Fraction. Yeah, I'm not getting Volume 2. This is one of those books that even if they only had 2 volumes to Matt Fraction's run, I would really have to push myself to even put in these solicits for Volume 2. I will give it one thing. Issue 7 gave me what I wanted out of this run. And it was also a crossover with Spider-Man. It's right before Civil War. And you'd think there would be a lot more... No, sorry, it was Captain Marvel. It's kind of funny, because Captain Marvel is after Civil War 2, and Iron Man is right before Civil War, or slash during. Which is very funny. The first Civil War, and then the second Civil War. And this... Side note, this one has... Even though it took place after Civil War 2, other than a few references, you couldn't tell. It was like, you had such a great opportunity to, like, you basically had the story rewrite itself, and you didn't even take the opportunity. It was very lazy of Margaret Stohl to do. But Matt Fraction's run I thought was just okay. It's kind of boring, honestly. Issue 7 was the best though. Hellboy I reviewed before. I still think this is a good. I still think this is a good run. It says. Should cover that. Whoopsies. But this I still think this is good. But I remember it being a lot more fast paced. But I think it's because it's the first few volumes. Maybe in general I just thought it was. And it's not. I don't know. But all in all, I still like this. I still like Hellboy. I still think it's a good comic series, and especially the time it came out around. Like that's even like I know you shouldn't say that because it's kind of a cheat, but still. Lumberjanes, it's honestly if they don't have say volume 200, there's a lot of Lumberjanes volumes. I will be dropping the series. This is one of those series that I'm really only reading just to get it over with. I really like the first 2 volumes. The first 2 volumes, that's what I wanted out of a story like this, and more. And now it's just kind of like ho-hum, not melodramatic, but what's it called? Like kind of like going through the motions, just kind of like very plain, bland. That was the word. Very bland. Now, it's definitely above average as to like what you'd expect from a book like this. It's not as obnoxious as you'd expect a book like this to be, but it's also not all that interesting. It's kind of like I hesitate to say it's gone downhill, like very far downhill. It's just not as interesting. I'm not as invested as I used to be. However, Giant Days is absolutely fantastic. Now this one is for a for not much older audience, slightly older audience than Lumberjanes. I would say this is definitely belongs in the teen section of your local library because it fits. Lumberjanes could easily have been put in the kids section, like tween section, but this probably needs to be in the teen section, like 13 and up. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. Giant Days was. I was very invested in the characters. Had a lot of humor that I liked. That kind of humor that I liked. It did seem like it was Lumberjanes for a slightly older audience. Night Witches, I still think is the best Garth Ennis war comic out of the few that I've read. I read 2, but maybe even the best war comic I've read. Honestly, this is fantastic. Gives me everything I want in a war comic, like everything. All the boxes are checked. Batman Volume 7, The Wedding, very controversial, very annoying, and let's hope one day we get an actual Batman Catwoman wedding. My headcanon is that annual is what actually happened. Like if you read that annual of Tom King's, you know what I'm talking about. All in all, I still think this run is like it's not bad. Like I don't hate it. I don't exactly love it. I think it's better than some people are saying now. But that's my opinion. Like obviously some people are like I think for a long time Batman fans, you're going to find more to hate than someone like me who's read just like sporadic Batman issues and Batman stories. Yeah, I've read some classics, of course, but I haven't been reading it since I was 5 years old or anything like that, and I'm like 50 years old. You know, I've been reading it since I was 14. I'm 23. Almost 24. Identity Crisis was the surprise of the week. This is one I own myself, by the way. I absolutely love this comic. And like with Dolores Claiborne, it's as good as it is depressing and dark, and it's very dark and very depressing. I was not expecting that ending. I'm glad that the many, many videos I watched of them covering it, it's usually just like Watch Mojo or whatever, they never spoiled the actual ending of the comic. And I will not say any more. Superman for All Seasons is the pick of the week by far. Spectacular, fantastic. I would say it's worth getting the absolute. Everyone here goes above and beyond the Call of Duty. Like, this is insanely good. I think Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale should be, like, that should be the definitive Superman comic. Along with, I mean for origin story. Along with Birthright. Sandman, again, it's my most controversial opinion yet, but I am not the biggest fan of Sandman, and it continues here. But there is still a lot to like. You know, I still would, if I made a list of the best comics, worst to best I've read, it would be had to. There's no way, or let's say of the year. I picked this year. I probably will do that actually. I do worst to the best. This will definitely be closer to the best than the worst, but it won't be as high as it probably should be, or as people are expecting. And it's weird because, as I say, it's not my thing, but it is my thing. I like fantasy, but I think it's just way too poetic, way too verbose for me. And not sound like a simpleton either. I don't mind verbose, but this is too verbose. And I'm not a huge fan of Neil Gaiman's writing in general either. Why the Last Man is a reread, like with Sandman and many others. But this is probably... This is... I lost my train of thought. It's very good. It's honestly, this is book 4, guys. Nothing's changed. I think it's a fantastic comic, and I'm still going to keep rereading it time and time again. Ocean Orbiter. Had it not been for the insane amounts of science jargon talk, I would have made this a pick of the week. The character the character moments in this comic are what makes this comic spectacular. That's what kept me interested and invested. And also, it's pretty fast paced too sometimes. And it knows when to go. And it knows when it's losing its audience, so it gives you something to be more interested in if you're not into science jargon. Yeah, way too much science jargon and exposition dumps. It's very flawed. Black Hammer, but I still think it's very good. Black Hammer, Justice League, Hammer of Justice. It's a fantastic crossover. But I don't know how fantastic it is for Black Hammer fans. From what I've heard, it's good. And it's from the creator of Black Hammer, so it has to be. Batman 686 is a bore. Revolver by Matt Kindt. Like I said before, I read this before, and I still think it's just... I still think it's just average. Department H is another Matt Kindt book that I find average. And confusing and not all that interested in, not all that interesting and kind of boring. String Bag is a lot better than the first time. I read this before, so quick little review there. Walking Dead, I still think is one of my favorite comics. It is my top 5. That is all I think I need to say about that. Again, we're at book 13. And unfortunately, the last time you'll be seeing on my videos, until I buy it myself, inevitably, the hardcovers. Because this time around, it's going to be the compendium. Sin City is still top 5. Again, reread. I already told you guys I thought about the Creepshow comic, not only in this video, but last time. And the same for Hip Hop Family Tree. The only one did not finish, unfortunately. So it's not my thing, and I feel shitty for saying that because of what happened to Ed Piscor. I said I was gonna check out Red Room. There's 3 volumes or more, and unfortunately they only had volume 1. Maybe I'll also just bite the bullet and do volume 1. I don't know. But that, as I say, is that. See you guys in the next one. Nice 12 minutes.